Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Makers Experts Cafe. I'm your host, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer, and today with me, I have an amazing human being. I've actually had the opportunity to be on his podcast. It is my pleasure to introduce to you guys Mr. Zakariya Frank. And super excited, Zakariya, for you to be here and take time out of your busy schedule. I know that you guys are so packed. And last time when we had to try something, it took months for us to be able to make it happen. So thank you for this opportunity. And thank you guys for tuning in. Zachariah, can you tell our audience members a little bit more about what we're about to cover as far as topic and why this is something that they need to stop multitasking and pay attention to?
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, thank you very much for having me, Dr. Ella. As I know that you are also a very busy man, so it's an honor to be here. But the topic of today is relevant to everybody because unfortunately, everybody in this audience probably has someone they know that has been afflicted by cancer in some sort of way, whether that's having passed away with a cancer diagnosis or having a cancer concern or thinking that cancer runs in their family, etc. And we at the Center for Advancement in Cancer Education, of which I'm a part of, absolutely want to change this. And we want to be able to help people understand how to navigate the world of health and the world of wellness and the world of cancer. And so, if we don't have our health, everything else beyond that kind of starts to fall apart. And so that's why this is a very important topic and one that I'm very wholeheartedly passionate about.
So, so, can you tell me a little bit more about how you got started yourself, or what kind of prompted you to really go in this direction?
Yeah, it's a funny conversation, right? I've always been someone that, as a young man, had a healthy distrust of certain systems that operate in the way that they exist, and we could leave it at that. And, when I was a young man, fresh out of university, working a job at a big financial firm, it was an entry level job, so it was really easy, and I would fly through my work and just have extra time to fill. And so I just started researching. I just started coming across interesting information, diving into it, and researching just exactly how this world was operating. What's going on in the food? What's going on in the water? What's in the air? What's going on? And as I learned more, I had to take action on what I learned because I value myself and I value my health and I value my wellness. And so I've been on a personal holistic health journey, I believe you could call it, for maybe 7, 8 years now. And as I've started to implement more and more techniques and tactics and stay away from certain things and actually do certain things, I've had a stark increase in my overall life fulfillment, my overall life satisfaction, how I feel on a day-to-day basis, or how I feel on an overall meta level. And so, how could I not want to give back to the world and help other people feel the same way? And so I would do general social media educating, if you will, on throughout the last couple of years, posting things that I thought were interesting and worth consideration. But in a professional capacity, I got involved in the Center for Advancement in Cancer Education just through networking. I was at a networking event and I just so happened to meet the CEO, Carl Wagner. I didn't know he was the CEO at the time. He just said he was involved with a holistic cancer nonprofit. So I said, so do you talk about this and this and this? And I named off a few modalities. Or do you go this route and talk about this and this and this? And he looks at me and he says, who are you? How do you know these things? Well, it turns out he was the CEO and looking for someone to partner up with in the organization. I was looking for a new work venture to get into, and we joined forces since that day, and it's been a beautiful partnership.
Beautiful. Yeah, I really enjoyed our conversation at your podcast, and I love the caliber of people that are coming there and the audience members as well. So I highly encourage our audience to kind of tune in from time to time and kind of listen in to your podcast and the amazing people that you bring on over there as well. So when we're talking about cancer, naturally, like you said, everybody in some way or form or shape either has been involved. They know it, or they know somebody who's been affected by it. And um, it seems to have been around for a long time with us, meaning that, we have all kinds of things to try to fight it, try to cure it, but it keeps coming up. And every day it seems like there's additional forms of cancer that are showing up. And now new vaccines are popping up because there's these new forms of cancer that we didn't have before. So where is one to kind of follow and start when it comes to this issue? What are some of the stuff that we can do as far as prevention, especially since, a lot of our audience are families. So they're thinking, I'm sure, about their kids and long-term next generation. So where do we start on this?
I think the important place to start is at a mental foundational level and coming to comprehend just exactly what cancer is and what it isn't. So, the schema that's kind of purported in modern science and modern culture is that cancer is some sort of boogeyman disease that comes down from the sky and randomly bites you, and now you have cancer, or it's just some genetic destiny that, oh, well, your family had cancer, so you're definitely going to get cancer, and that's it, And this sets us up for complete and utter failure in a variety of ways. Well, one, we cast negative spells upon ourselves and tell ourselves we're likely to get ill, and then our body follows suit. But even beyond that, it takes away the accountability and the responsibility and the importance of making good choices every single day. Because at a foundational level, cancer is really just our own cells that are in an unhealthy state, to put it very basic and stripped down. It's our own cells that are unhealthy. And so if we understand that, we understand, well, what can I do to make choices that will keep my current cells healthy, but then also keep the cells that might get unhealthy, because that is a natural part of life. Cells live, cells die, cells get replaced. But how do I keep my body and my body systems of purging those unhealthy cells operating and running? And that's basically it. And then it gets down to very basic things. What are we inputting into our body? What are we inputting into our mind, into our soul, into our spirit and emotions? Because all of these things are essential for holistic well-being. And so if you want to break it down to direct actionables, it's nothing very exciting. Stop inputting toxic, poison, garbage into your body in all these different forms, right? And we all know this, but I think a lot of people sleep on just how powerful basic diet and lifestyle changes can be. Just cutting out artificiality in our food and in our food-like products that we consume will get us a very far way. Doing certain things to detoxify built up toxins that may have accrued in our body will go a very far way. And that's the physical side. It's not even worth going into a whole lot because it's not exciting and everybody knows you shouldn't be eating garbage. Beyond that, though, what a lot of people also sleep on is the emotional toxin side. And it has been not only known for centuries throughout civilizations, but also scientifically studied in these modern times that certain types of cancer actually correlate with specific personality traits, emotional habits, certain types of trauma, and different more emotional and spiritual and perhaps esoteric kind of things because we have souls, spirits, emotional energy, whatever you want to call it in whatever language you want to use. And we also have physical bodies, but those two aren't separate things. Our body's physical organs have ties to certain emotional centers. And this is known in lots of different languages, lots of different cultures, whether you want to call it energy centers, chakras, meridians, doesn't matter. The point is, our energy and our emotions are tied to our physical bodies. And so it has been observed that if we go through certain types of trauma or keep ourselves in certain emotional patterns that are negative and unhealthy, well, those people very often end up with certain types of cancer, whether that's colon cancer, whether that's breast cancer. All of these things are related to certain emotional poisons and toxins as well. So that's why we really take a mind and body and spirit focused approach, because both of these things have to be considered for keeping ourselves healthy.
I love the approach that you have and you're describing here. I was hoping, like after COVID and what everybody went through during COVID, that it was awakening and a wake up call for many people, understanding the role of lifestyle, the role of who you are, and actually how you reacted to COVID, the franticness and the irrationality of certain behaviors. Those are actually kind of speaks to exactly what you're talking about. That when you're acting out of emotions, and if those emotions happen to be some of the ones that you're describing, then it's not just cancer, it's your job opportunities, it's your relationships, it's other diseases, and your reaction to them tend to not be the most constructive one. So it's really important to address that at a base level foundational piece. So very cool. All right, let's go back to cancer again. So many people, when they hear this, like you said, it's the boogeyman, and it's almost like, in some cases, like, okay, this is the death sentence. More and more, we're finding out that there's many alternatives, there's many options available. So if somebody has that kind of diagnosis, what do you think are some of the action steps they need to take to kind of step in the right direction and not go down a rabbit hole?
Well, I think the first thing to do is take an audit of your life and an audit of what has brought you to the here and the now and to the how you are currently operating and existing and the results that you're getting because nothing is random. Everything is a effect and every effect has a cause or a series of contributory causes. And so this is really something that everybody should be doing on a daily basis anyway, taking an audit of their entire life and their entire state of health, be it physical, emotional, mental, all the above. But if we have had the opportunity to get the red flag raised, that is a cancer diagnosis or a concern, then that's, your body screaming out, hey, you've been ignoring something or several things for a good amount of time. We can't take it anymore. We, the cells of your body, can't take it anymore. Please address it, find it, and address it. That's kind of the way I see it. Our body will gently try to nudge us and let us know when things aren't so good. Will have headaches. We'll get tired more often than we should be. We'll perhaps have different aches and pains in other places. And a lot of people just ignore those and chalk them up to, oh, well, that's just part of life. You just have random aches and pains. And they ignore their body's initial gentle signs. The body can only take so much neglect and so much abuse and so much ignoring. And eventually it starts to raise the red flags. It starts to get the alarm bells. It starts to put the sirens on. And that's what I see as cancer. And so at that point, it's very, very important to take a full audit of everything. And so, like I said in the beginning, what are you inputting into your body on a physical level? Address everything that you interact with physically. Anything from the foods you're putting in your mouth to the water you're bathing in and showering in, to the air that you're breathing in your household, to the chemical body products perhaps that you're using, to what clothing and types of fibers you're using and how those might be leaching into your body and what those are doing, to the relationships that you're keeping with people around you, to your relationships with your employment, if you're someone that works. It's all of these things need to be addressed right now, to what things that you might have unresolved emotionally inside that you haven't let go of, and what patterns that's keeping within you, and what energy that's keeping lingering around. All of these things need to be addressed right now. But, that's easy to say and perhaps harder to do, especially when we have a cancer diagnosis. And so I really encourage people to seek out the plentiful resources that are available now more than ever. And that's why I'm so blessed to be part of the Center for Advancement in Cancer Education, because we have so many free programs to help people along with exactly that. Because cancer could be a very lonely time. It can feel very isolating because, it causes deep introspection and stress. But two, a lot of people don't want to stress out their loved ones and people that they have around them. Or three, when people do reach out to their loved ones, they might not be capable of healthily chatting about the topic or giving suggestions. They might have suggestions, and a lot of people do. Hey, do this, but sometimes that might be a little more damaging than than it is helpful if they don't necessarily know what they're talking about either. And so I encourage people to make use of the plentiful free resources that we offer and that several other organizations and people do offer. And I can talk more specifically about them at Dr. L's instruction.
Absolutely. So, actually, going along with what you just mentioned, of listening to your body. If your body's telling you, hey, guess what? There's been neglect and you haven't been addressing or whatever it happens to be, that message also, you need to be able to accept it, right? And if that message is saying that, hey, given your time, given your lifestyle, given your knowledge, this has been neglected. One of the things that I do want to encourage our audience members to do is accept it, realize that you might not be able to adequately address this. And hence, it just makes more sense rather than to continue to neglect it, is to actually seek support, seek help in addressing the issue instead of kind of putting it off. So how can people find out and connect more with you, Zachariah, and the resources that you have available for that?
Yeah, absolutely. And just firstly, I want to say you put it so wonderfully. All things have their equal and opposite, and from taking responsibility and accountability, which seems like a negative to try to tell someone to do for a negative thing like a cancer concern, is the flip side of positivity. That is the empowerment to actually make a change and improve the scenario. And so people can connect with me through beatcancer.org. You can go right to www.beatcancer.org. That's our website for the Center for Advancement in Cancer Education. And we have a variety of links there. You can explore them. We have links to our weekly calls that are totally free for people to hop on and ask a question to our staff and holistic cancer coaches. We have free counseling with our in-house naturopathic doctor, and there's a button right for that. And there's so many different links and buttons of different programs to explore, most of which are absolutely free. We also have educational courses that someone could explore if they're looking for a more in-depth dive. The tail end of that is also a holistic cancer coach certification program. If someone wants to make a living and a life out of helping others in holistic cancer healing. If you have trouble navigating the website or if you have any questions at all about any of our programs, I am more than happy to chat and point you in the right direction. You can email me at zfrank@beatcancer.org, and I will address anything that you would like addressed.
Guys, Zachariah has actually given me a wealth of resources and links and information. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of that in the description box below. So make sure you take the time to go ahead to the description box below here, click on it, and check out all the different resources that Zachariah has provided for you. We always say this, that it is important not to have all the answers, but it is even more important to know that you can always ask out and reach out for help. And we need to role model this behavior for our children as well, and show them that the world is not a scary place, that there are good people that are interested in making the world a better place. So please make sure that you connect to Zachariah. And if you haven't already done so, make sure that you click subscribe to our channel so you get notified of experts that come here, like Zachariah, sharing their expertise and their gifts with you. And before we finish, Zachariah, any final words for our audience members?
It's really up to you what you make of this lifetime. Nothing is random, nothing happens for no reason, and perhaps life hasn't been fair in the cards that it's dealt to everybody, but all that aside, you have the option of how you play whatever cards you were dealt, and your results in life will be in accordance to what you make of it. And so I forever advocate for education. I forever advocate for advancement. I forever advocate for getting together with like-minded community and just having conversations, explore different educational resources. Don't waste any time, because any time and second that you've been blessed with on this earth is a second that you could spend advancing and bettering yourself for a better tomorrow. And so I really encourage people to take this lifetime seriously and, love each other and love yourselves.
Beautiful. What's that? Well, with that, we're going to conclude. Until next time, guys. Cheers.